My name is Gabriel Biderman, and I am a night photographer. Night photography is probably the most meditative and Zen-like style of photography out there. The biggest challenge with night photography is focusing, and how do you focus at night. In urban night photography, not a problem, and there's some great things you can do there, but once we get away from the city lights and under the stars, the biggest problem is focusing. Bringing a high-power flashlight, and if your subject matter is within 20, 30, 40 feet, however powerful your flashlight can be, you can shine that light on the subject, still use your autofocus, press halfway down, and lock in on that focus, shut the flashlight off, put your camera into manual focus, it's locked now at that distance, and then fire away. There is so little contrast in these rural scenes that it really is impossible to autofocus without the assistance of bringing in an additional light like a flashlight. Definitely pre-planning is a very, very important part of night photography. I really like to scout physically. Usually first things first, I'll scout on an app like PhotoPills where I can really see the location. But then again, I always like to get to a location at least a couple hours before the sun sets. I don't want to start shooting in the dark. When most people think of night photography, they think of those epic long star trails. And those are some of definitely the most wow shots that you could hope to come away with. What most night photographers, and what I usually lean on doing, is taking lots of smaller shots, anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. Those are, that length of exposure you can generally take with almost any current mirrorless or digital SLR camera, and you won't have that much noise. And what you can do is if you take several of those continuously, so let's say an hour, you could take 12 5-minute shots. You need an intervalometer for it because there can be no longer than a second break in between. And then in post-process, quite an easy thing to do in Photoshop is you can then stack those images together and you can get that 1 hour exposure. Light painting can actually be one of the most exciting parts of night photography because that's where we as a person can put our imprint onto the scene. The first thing you should do when light painting is take your ambient shot, take your base shot, and see what needs to be painted, if anything. Are there shadows? Should the shadows be opened up? You know, should they be opened up naturally? Should they be opened up with splashes of color? We call it light painting. It could also be called shadow painting, and where we are, you know, creating interesting shadows, just as important as where we're creating is interesting light patterns. You know, I started out in the darkroom, and one of the best things was, you know, seeing that image come up, you know, in the sync. And that's, to me, night photography can still be that. You can still get that wow. You can try to set up as much and be like, okay, the star's gonna move this way, I'm gonna light paint this, but then that surprise you'll get on the screen still keeps me going to this day. If you get a chance, you know, pick up a book or take a workshop or go out with friends and learn together. I love going to places and that challenge of shooting that same area, but everyone coming away with a different interpretation. So go out and keep on clicking. Seize the night.